Hello everybody. I believe it's number 10. I'm losing track. I think I'm losing track, but I think we are a whole 10 already. And I just want to mention if you think you may need. I think most of you haven't got wooden blocks, and no one person's got one. You need something that's weighty. So I've got my it's Gathering Storm, the Second World War by Winston Churchill, which is slowly getting through, which is not too heavy. It's old. It's a second-hand book. I got it in the August sale at Cavendish. So find the book now, and if you need anything else, blanket or a bolster for underneath your knees or a strap, perhaps get it now before we go. And then once you've got that, find your center, lengthen comfortably, perhaps close your eyes and see if you can begin to breathe into the belly, into your chest. Just literally feeling that natural expanding, that natural contracting. Feeling the sitting bones, dropping your shoulders. Just connect with that inner sense of wholeness. And then we're going to do a bit stronger than we did last week. Last week we did Swini Mudra, which is the pelvic floor right up to the navel and back, toning it. This time I want to do the one where I've done with you quite often in the last sort of half a year, I think, where we visualize the electromagnetic field, which is around us always. And the lower, so-called lower chakras, they're not lower, but they are the survival ones. They tend to draw, particularly if you're anxious, if you are not feeling so well, then you draw from that electromagnetic field. And that sort of makes you thinner, energetically speaking. So if we can release any tension, any holding, anything that needs to be let go of, any tightness, and we can bring it right up like a straw. You suck it up from the pelvic floor, you squeeze those muscles, you hold it for an extra second, maybe just feel the point, and then you totally release. Those of you who've been with me, and I know there's some always other people as well, so quite important that you know how to do it. You try and do it in one fell swoop, in one fell breath, in one continuous breath. Squeeze those core muscles and totally release. So that will draw the energy up and away from those lower chakras to free the energy and then release it. So maybe close your eyes. If you extend it, shoulders are down, elbows in. Begin from the pelvic floor and see if you can draw up the breath as you draw the belly back, the navel back, and suck it up in your imagination right through the chest, throat, into the crown, squeeze for another second, and totally soften and release. And keep doing that with each breath. If you want to take a breath in between, do so. Create that slight resistance at the back of your throat and make it quite energetic. It's quite a firm contraction. Pause. Release. It took me a while to really get that movement up. Hold and let go. In your own way. Visualize it as you suck up the energy as if you're doing it through a straw. After all, there is a tube there. Into the crown and beyond. Pause. And then release the contraction. Removing stuck energy in those lower three chakras. Feel the movement. Let's do it another 5 times. Two more. And now just take a normal breath or two. Belly protruding. Just allow the energy to settle. We're going to warm up with a spinal roll. So if you can't do the spinal roll, I would do the Pilates one where you only go halfway to your shoulder blades. But if you can do the spinal roll, take your hands out, take it underneath. Just above the knee, drop your chin, keep your neck centered, and then roll back. If you need to, like me, take your feet to your ankles, because otherwise you don't go do so. As long as your neck is centered. And if you prefer doing the cross leg, hold on to the top of your feet, and do that way. Inhalation, you go back. Exhalation, you come forward. Loosen if you're doing the cross leg one, you need to alternate. Rolling along your spine, stimulating it. I always like to feel like a 4-year-old child, loose, light, playing a bit. And then you can also do the expulsion breath, so just roll into a forward bend. Just loosely. Keep your knees bent if it's easier. Do it twice more. And then stay there. And if you need to bend your knees because you want more of a back stretch, do so. Sitting bones back, fist forward, and see how far you can breathe. Nice, full breath. Feel how you've energized the whole of your body. Another full breath. Okay. You're going to do the forearm stretch. You could sit cross-legged, you could sit on your foam. I like to sit on my knees. Last week we did those ones, turning in and out, which is also an elbow stretch. It's a forearm, but it's basically an elbow stretch. And it's quite complicated. For instance, when a child has to learn to take its spoon or fork to its mouth, it's not only this hinge or this hinge, there is a twist that happens. So Sarah Key, from who I get this, she always says, watch a small child learning to do this. It's quite a complicated notion. So it's this one that we're going to do. And just to understand it a little bit more, we have got the radius and the ulna. And the ulna hooks like with a sort of, how do you call it, like a question mark into the humerus, which is here. The radius is here. And as you do this motion, the two long bones in the forearm actually cross, and the hand just follows, just is attached there. So it's the movement that you do is there to facilitate that rotation more. And I almost feel that if people can't, some of us can't go further than that, maybe also try and do it this way, because it always feels a bit frustrating. Or otherwise, maybe do it a few times dynamically as well. So it's to loosen the head of the radial on that sort of ligamentous capsule. So see if you can keep it here. I usually do it like that, but when I looked properly this time, I saw that she actually keeps it horizontal. And then slowly bring it through if you can. The elbow actually is the point of the ulna that we rest on. And see if you can keep it up, straighten, shoulders down. And just take a few breaths in that position. It can be quite pulling. Mine is pulling quite hard. Slowly releasing deeper into it. going to do it the other way around. And it may feel different. I'm going to do that again. Just not to mention, when I was 21 and I was in Holland for the first time after being here, and I was in a strange situation because I was back with my family who I hadn't seen for a very long time. And I took a spoon to my mouth and I got stuck here. I couldn't take it further. It's quite strange. And that's that movement that she says, and it took 3 months of really agony and struggling until a chiropractor finally just undid the nerve that was stuck in the vertebra in my neck. So yeah, sometimes doing those keeping your joints young exercises are quite important. Come back. One more time. Keeping the shoulders back. Try not to force it. Feel how that radial head is being pulled at. And slowly let go and release. Now I asked you to have a book. It doesn't have to have such a heavy subject as Churchill. He writes very well and he knows so much about Europe before the war. So if you can sit like that, take your book or your block, or if you want to have a lighter block, I know some of you indicate that you might actually buy a block. But weight would be helpful here, so sit flat on your sitting bones. And simply to start with, press with your palms in there, reach up, really reach up and keep your shoulders relaxed. Of course you don't want to drop the block and maybe flex your feet for a moment in Tadasana and then release. So you're not going forward yet, we just do it a few times, just coming to Tadasana. So sitting bones down, your heels off the floor, feet slightly flexed, reach up, keep your armpits down, straighten the elbows, come down. I'm going to do that one more time like that. Now we're going to come into a forward bend. So you can release your heels, extend, and then come forward. You may want to go only as far as that if you feel you're straining your shoulders. Come back as you breathe in, and come forward as you breathe out, and see how far you can go. So it's much more work in your core. You need to use your abdominal pelvic floor. It's much more work in your back. Just that little bit of weight. But because of it so low being in your hands, you'll feel it. Do that twice more dynamically. Use your core. Try and reach up, but keep your shoulders relaxed, the back of your legs down. And then we're going to stay there. You may want to just drop it on the floor. Come forward in a way that suits you. Sitting bones back, chest forward. You don't have a rounded upper back. And then slowly bring your elbows closer to the floor, release your head. And if you're here, you're here. You can go deeper, go deeper. Try not to force. Keep the sitting bones moving back, the shoulders back. And slowly release forward and down. And if you need to bend your knees slightly, make it another 5 breaths. Lovely. So now you know what's coming. I think you do. Because I've been wondering how I can do this one, and this seems to be the solution. So you put it there, you can have your arms up, down, wide. You press into your book. Try not to cheat. Maybe not a firm one, but a heavy one. And just make the circles or figure eights, if you like figure eights. It's easier to do that way, but try and do it like you're making a large circle in both directions. And you can feel how you need to use muscles you don't always feel. Strengthen your back, legs, ankles. Keep your shoulders released. I think some of you were very happy there were no blocks, but you can remedy that. Both directions, a few more times. And if you find it difficult, make it smaller. One more circle. And then come into, a lying down butterfly. So you have a little more space between your heels, release the shoulders. You can neutral back and allow your whole back to release. Natural breath. Spreading downwards, opening the groin. Take some nice breaths, releasing the whole lower trunk. Take another full breath, allowing the knees to drop, sacrum to ground. Whole body awareness. Okay, now we're going to do a twist, one which you haven't done for a while. You can still use your book, whatever you have chosen to have. Now I would take it a bit up. I find it drops over time, so you've got to use those inner knee muscles, vastus medialis, and really press. Either you interlace your hands behind your head, which sometimes it's quite nice to have you supported, or if you prefer, you can have your arms wide or even up. Keep pressing into your into your book of wooden block if you have one. Slowly, keeping your left shoulder, if you can, grounded. Move to the right, your head slightly to the left. So you might not be able to go too far as you press into the book, engaging those inner thigh and knee muscles all the time, so it doesn't just drop. And like I said, maybe keep it a bit smaller. Always keeping the opposite shoulder grounded, if you can, the elbow as well. And make it a smooth journey. Try not to jerk too much. Rolling through your lower back and keeping your shoulders released and grounded. My book makes strange noises, I don't know why, but it does. Very strange noises. Then to do one more sequence, and then we're going to go into a passive twist to the right. So you can release, take your feet a bit further, maybe take your arms wide, and just drop your head slightly to the left. Release, consciously release, so your whole chest opens, head is grounded and centered, moves slightly to the left. And just take a few breaths in your belly. There's no holding of core. You really make it a passive twist. Natural breath in the belly. Allowing that whole left side from your thigh into your left arm to stretch and release. Two more breaths. Feel the widening of your shoulders. And press into your book. And do the same. Sliding your feet a bit further out. Dropping your shoulder. Release your head slightly to the right. Feel that your skull is heavy. Floppy hands. And just allow your breath to take you further into the stretch. Not holding on, but letting go. Allowing the right shoulder to release further. Make it 3 more breaths. And take your book for a moment. Put it aside as you just bring your knees to your chest. Lift your head. Release. Bring your hands next to you for the right angle breath. Toes just above the floor. Make a right angle with your thigh to your trunk. As you breathe in, so you can maybe flex your feet. Back of your hands on the floor. I keep the elbows slightly soft. And as you breathe out, slowly come back to that starting position. Release the sacrum. Flex your feet. Repeat. Keep the sacrum grounded, the coccyx area. And the next 3 times you're going to hold it for a few breaths. See if you can hold it for 3 breaths. Last one. Now you're going to have your arms wide. Cross the ankles. And then as you breathe out, keep as much as your sacrum grounded, your shoulder blades is lower. See how wide you can go without coming towards your chest. So you can keep that lower back grounded. Breathing in slowly across. Breathing out, keeping your shoulders grounded, head aligned, and reach into your heel. See if you can straighten the back of your neck. So you should get a little bit of a hamstring inner thigh. Do it twice more dynamically. Reach into your heel and into your feet. Keeping your upper trunk relaxed, centered. And then stay in that wide leg position. Keep your coccyx area grounded. If you like, you can make a few little circles. Other way around. And then release. Release to your chest. I'm going to use the hook again for a neck shoulder integration exercise, which you know well, but you just haven't done for a while. So your feet as wide as your book or block, your palms facing down a little bit away from you. Release your shoulders, center your head, and keep the mount of the big toe and outer heel down so you can really press into it. As you breathe in, lift as high as you can, roll your head to the left, and then stay there for an extra breath, shoulders released, And lift a bit more, pressing into the mount of the big toe, outer heel, and lifting. So maybe your buttocks will tighten. Pressing into your book. As you breathe out the second time, slightly squeezing your book, come back down. So you can see how it integrates the neck and the shoulder. Work a bit more as you come up on the second inhalation. Keep the mount of the big toe down. And then slowly come down. So you want to move with the breath, not the other way around. Higher. All the time you're breathing out, center your head and release your spine and your arm together. Soles of your feet grounded. Nice deep breath. Integrating the movement of your breath. Keep your feet centered. The big toe and mount of the big toe onto the left. Squeeze your book. A few more times. Make it your last sequence. Beginning to feel those thighs working. And once again, just take your rock away. We'll do a nice inverted, strong inverted stretch. Pulling out, flex your feet. Grow an inch or two. Even 3. And for a moment release. Allow your head to roll only as far as it wants to. Release your joints. And just take a breath or two as you let go of any holding after that. I'm going to use the book one more time. Put it at the back of you for a back bend. So you try to take it between the thighs and seem to be quite difficult. So I want you to take it between your heels. With your feet together. Come onto your tummy. And interlace your hands behind you. Zip up the tummy. Squeeze the heels into your book as you breathe in. Come up. Lift your arms as high as you can. Tummy in. So you feel the whole front of your thigh and trunk extending. Navel up, chest up, tummy up. Don't worry how high you come. But keep those heels active and the front of your feet on the floor. Inhalation, you come up. Exhalation, you come down. Activate your feet. Into the book, into the floor. Keep going. Squeeze your book. Another 4 times. And bring your hands next to you. Just take your book away and either come into a frog, or maybe you want to keep your knees closer, and just allow your back to widen. That you Really drop into gravity. Knees apart. Maybe release your elbows, flop your wrists. Just drop into gravity. Your neck has no pressure. Your back is lengthening and widening. And as you relax, you should be able to release your back more. Feel the breath. Let go. Another 5 breaths. Such a simple back bend does bring the heart rate up. So if you did press into your book quite firmly. I'm going to now do a twist, the so-called cat twist. So your fingers are spread, your elbows straight, feet flat. If you breathe into it from the base of the spine, get used to that. So bring your left lower abdominal further to the left, then your navel and your ribs, collarbone, finally your shoulders. Follow with your eye if you like. Keep that right elbow straight and then slowly come down. So you work not from the shoulders and the ribs only, you do it right from the lower spine. So the whole spine moves into a cat twist. One more time dynamically. I'm going to hold it. So next time, come up. So you can reach, feel the whole spine. Fingers spread. Slowly come down and do the same on the other side. From the base of the spine up. And then either come into the child pose if you're quite happy, just sit in the hero position for a change and take a few breaths. And you're going to stand up now. Okay, we're going to start with a shoulder one. I would take my feet as wide as your mat, more or less. Center on your feet. Drop your shoulders and then bring your arms wide. We often do it sitting. We're going to do it standing today. So it's like you have 2 invisible doors that come towards you and you keep them at bay. Reach into the soles, your feet into the crown, and keep your shoulders down. So that gives you a bit of a nerve stretch. I told you last week the nerves can sort of stretch 10 to 15%. They have some stretch because of their serpentine movement. The tissues, wherever they go, along with the muscles. So try that a few times, rotating forwards and rotating back. As if you're keeping that door at bay. Feel how it goes to your neck, to your shoulders perhaps. And if you keep your fingers apart, you'll feel it's quite a nerve stretch. Without dropping. Over time you can rotate a little bit more. Come back. I'm going to do that one more time. Whole body awareness. See if we can really move forearms, the wrists. And for a moment release. Just allow your shoulders to release. I'm going to do a twist this way, where you bring your hands up. Again, you push into your palms, fingers towards you. Press into your feet, drop the shoulders. And this time look behind you. Straighten those elbows, drop the shoulders, press into your feet. Extend. Nerve stretch. Right into your fingertips. Good. Now do a right, left, and then a halfway stop one from cross surf. I often do it and haven't done it for a while. So left foot at 45 degrees, your right foot make it a large step forward. And bring your right hand, with your palm facing out, towards your left waist. If you can get like me into the waist, do so. Not put it against the lower left side of your back, palm facing out. Now for this motion, instead of bringing your heels in toward each other, I will do what I call the unscrewing of the jaw. So your right foot does that, your left foot slightly in, which will bring the right hip slightly back, left hip forward. You keep the mount of the big toe down. So that's your core. You don't have to lift the bandhas if you do that. It gives you the core. Then bring your left arm up. Gives you support, in other words. As you breathe out, split breath, and take your hand wherever you need to. Then as you breathe in, come into a halfway extension, right hip back, left hip forward, and then come back to that position. Press into your feet, to the screwing of the jaw. Slide back then, tummy in. Split breath as you come forward and down. Right hip back, left hip forward, inner thighs closer, wherever you can reach. Extend, keep your equilibrium. And release. So it works the lower back on the right, works your legs, to keep you engaged, those feet. Split breath. Extend. Keep going your own tempo. Strong in that front leg. Tummy in and you look up and come into a slight back bend. Split breath as you come down. I'm going to do twice more dynamically on this side. And after that halfway stop, as I call it, inner thighs closer, see if you can release into the forward bend. Keep your right under your left waist or against your lower back on the left if you can. Release your head. As you breathe out, move closer to your right leg. Right hip back, left hip forward. Another 5 breaths. Getting right into that right butt, you can feel the calf and the hamstring go a bit. And the same the other way around. First side step. There's a little bit of space between the 2 feet. Palm facing out to your right waist. See if you can do the unscrewing of the jaw to the left, which will bring your left hip slightly back, right hip. Exactly the same. Tummy in. Split breath, you veer to the left, wherever you can reach. And halfway extension, left hip back, right hip forward. Keep your foot open. Whole body awareness. Strong that front foot. Two more. Feel it in that left hip buttock area. And then surrender. So you can work at that left hip back. Release your head. And forehead closer to your shin. If you need to bend your knees slightly, do so. Right hip forward, left hip back, and release your head. If you can, keep your left hand where it is. 5 more breaths. Allow your head to drop. Then you need to come out of it gracefully. Sorry. And then use a phone or book or something just to get more to the calves. If you like. It's up to you. I find it quite helpful. You can put your hands on the floor, you can fold your arms, you can interlace them behind you, closer, drop your head. Lean a bit forward, shoulders away from your ears. And see if you can lift the thighs if possible out of your knees. 5 more breaths. Slowly come up. Let's see if you can do an inverted stretch. Reaching up, pressing down, release the shoulders, grow an inch or 2 or 3. So we're going to do the moon dance from right. I haven't seen much of the moon, but it's growing. So give it some attention this week. I know for some of you the moving to the right and the left is impossible. You stay in the squat or you stay higher in the squat. Just feel the 4 points of your feet. Parallel the outside of your feet. Just come into that mountain posture so you're stable, centered. And then bring your palms together, look up. As you breathe in, slowly bring your hands in front of your chest as you breathe out. Tummy in as you slightly move into a back bend, looking up. Swivel your toes out as you bring your hands together into the prayer position. For some of you that's enough, you can stop here and balance. Others can bring the left knee to the floor. Extend your arm and follow your right hand as your head and your eyes. And then come back up without falling back, that's always the danger. Bring your right knee to the floor. Follow your left hand. And as you breathe out, come back to center. Pushing up and maybe bring your feet back to Tadasana. Breathing in, looking up. Breathing out, center. Feels flat. Slight back bend. Twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the left. Come back to center. Slightly wobbly. As you breathe in and find that mountain posture. Moves the breath. That's what guides you. Turn the toes and knees out and find your center. Don't make it too wide. Open into the twist to the right. Come back to center as you breathe out. To the left. And hold before you come up. You can also have your arms wide if you prefer. Scooping up the moon energy and bringing it down. Do it with your breathing tempo, not with mine. So it does feel a bit like a dance. Which the moon does. It's waxing and it's waning. I think there's an eclipse this week as well. Two more. The breath carries you. It's very calming if you can actually do it with the breath. Okay, we're going to do a shoulder one, which you've done as well. It's a twist. It's a kind of a shoulder neck integration again, like we did with the bridge and the wooden or the book rod. So your feet can be as wide as your mat, perhaps even wider. And as you breathe in, extend, reach into your fingers, into your feet, into the crown. As you breathe out, bring your right hand right in the floor. So if you find it difficult to reach, widen it a bit more. Look at the back of your hand. As you breathe in, bring your left arm up, look up, and keep your head looking up. As you breathe out, as you breathe in, extend again, relax into it, into that spaciousness. Breathing out, look down. Breathing in, bring your right arm across, bring it up, and keep looking up. Breathing in, extend. Breathing out, look at the back of your right hand and rotate. Breathing in, look up as you bring your arm right across your ear. And then bring it up and keep looking. Sorry, my head's getting too long. Breathing in. Shoulder neck integration. I'm comfortable. Not many yoga teachers and yoga teachers that do those integrations. Quite nice. Again, moving with the breath. Allow the breath to guide you. I'm going to do one more sequence. Now come into wide leg forward bend. So maybe widen more. You can have a choice. You could fold your arms, take your hands to your ankles. You also take your hands through the arch. You get an inner thigh stretch. Press your hands as far through the arch as you can. Bring your palms down and then your head closer to the floor. Bending your elbows, keeping them parallel backwards. Possible parallel. And some of you will be able to put your head on the floor. Reach further. Reach into your feet. Lift the inner thighs, shoulders back. And drop your chin closer to your throat. Or fold your arms. Just take a few breaths. Reach into your feet, shoulders back. Make it 5 more breaths. Walk your hands a bit forward. Heel toe your feet closer together till they're a natural distance apart. Come up. And see if you can take your right index finger and your thumb around your left arm. Relax, extend. And slowly pull your left arm. Bring your left ear against your inner left upper arm and pull it. Lift your head up against the inner arm. So we're going to do the same the other way around. So if you're pulling, bring your ear against your upper arm. Extend. The right side totally extending. Release, perhaps roll your shoulders. Both directions. Now we're going to do a sequence. It's a squat into a wide-armed warrior 2, into a dancer, and then into a forward bend with your one leg up. And that might be a bit tricky for me too. It's tricky because it's difficult to get your leg up. But even if you get it halfway up, do so. Otherwise go into a half moon or just in an ordinary forward bend. You can adjust it. So let's start Tadasana and come into a squat. It's a half squat. So your knees are bent, they're actually facing forward, shoulders are down, and you take a large step back so you can come into the warrior. Now, into the warriors, you bring the heels in, at least in the synergy one. You reach at your fingers, you look beyond your middle finger, you drop the shoulder, and you usually pull the back arm a little bit away as you press the heels toward each other. So you keep widening in the upper trunk, but grounding and drawing the heels in so you activate the legs. From there, shift your weight to the front leg. You might have to do it in stages. Bring your arm up, push your left foot in your left hand into each other, not sideways, but backwards. Tummy in, chest up, but always navel, chest up. And then you can come into a fuller dancer. From there, we're going to try that forward bend. You bring your hands maybe beyond your foot or next to your foot, and then bring your nose or your forehead to your knee or your shin. Straighten both your legs if you can. Rotate the left thigh in, head close to the floor. So it takes a lot of energy. That's why I want you to come back into this Tadasana and take a breath in between. And back into your bend knee squat. A large step back with your right foot. Bring the heels in, so you can open out. Go on the outer edge of your back foot, radiate from the sternum outwards. Pull your heels in, feel that contrast. Slowly shifting your weight to your left leg so you can come into the dancer. Open out, push your foot and your hand into each other. Keep the front knee slightly bent. And then see if you can make the transition. Bring your forehead to your knee or your shin, shoulders back, and try and lift that right leg. Not so easy. It's actually easier when you can put your leg against the wall with that. Don't always know if you have walls. So take a breath or two in that mountain posture. So the half squat. Pull the heels in and center. It's like you're commanding space, putting the heel in. You really are in command. Alert. Slowly shifting your weight to the front leg. Catching your foot. Push your foot and your hand into each other and bring your navel chest up. Slowly, if you can, you could fall into it, but then you can move your forehead close to the shin, keep your shoulder back, and straighten both your knees as much as you can. They don't want to, I can tell you that. So come back. And just take a breath, reorientate your body. If your right side feels lopsided now. Back into that half squat. Large step back. Pull the heels in. Back knee straight, shoulders down, heels in. Now you need to shift from that warrior move into a dancer, which is a very different feeling. Find your own rhythm. Opening out, but grounding those heels and try not to lean. Finding your equilibrium in between. Activate the back arm, pull the heels in. Open out. You can get a bit closer to your shin and straighten both your legs as much as you can. Release your head. We'll do it one more time. Take a few breaths in between. Pressing your hand and your foot into each other always gives you support. And then slowly you find that maximum length. A lot of strength as well. In command, putting the heels in, keeping the shoulders down. You can stay in the upright dancer. If you feel you can come into a fuller dancer, come into the fuller dancer. And then would release for a moment into child pose, Eastern praying position. Allow your back, your shoulders, your wrists. You said to come onto the tip of your forehead so that you can release your neck as well. May look easy, but I can tell you it's not. So we're going to go on now with an inversion, headstand variations, and if you want to use those chairs, like we showed you, I don't know which class it was, 3, 4, 5, but in one of them where you have 2 chairs with the pillows, and if you don't want to have your head on the floor, you can do that. Those of you who know how to do headstands immediately can probably go straight into it. It will be very good at inversions at the moment. So you can just balance on your forearms, fix your gaze, not gripping your head too strongly, you rather rest on your forearms. Extending. Those of you who can do it, usually can do it for quite a while. It's also the crone. Crane that you've done, those of you can do that. Simplest one, and where your heart is above your brain, so the brain receives more blood flow, is the hair. You come onto the tip of your forehead and you need to put something underneath your head to sit. You can take your index finger, thumb around to opposite wrist so you can release and focus on the crown. Make sure you're not halfway there. You're right on the crown. For some reason, they would say that the pressure on you fontanelle is good. They never explain why, but that's what I was taught. So if you're in the headstand, you can do that. Others don't like all those straights in the upper trunk with all the preparatory exercises are meant to do. You resist. You can see how I'm resisting now. Allow your head to hang there. Keep the acute angle, so keep moving your chest a bit to your thigh, your hips to your shoulders as you do that. Some people like just to hold it, looking towards their thigh, keeping the head hanging. You can alternate between those two. Do the bird. Always make sure you do a triangle. Many people put their head here and then their hands next to it. It needs to be more or less a triangle between the elbows, the space, and your hands, and then the head just inside of it. So see if you can make the triangle, more or less. If you're lucky like me, I can put my elbows on my crown and then stay there. If you feel you can put the weight on, then you can do that. If you, Patrick or some of the others, you can do the, Stephen I suppose, you can do the scorpion, of course the right angle, just to remind those of you how to do that. This one. Finish what you're doing or come into a child pose if you can. For a moment release totally. And then make sure that everybody, before we continue to the next one, has been into that child pose, Eastern pain position, just to release back into a normal position. And last week I started with the scissors, my worst, and another one. So we'll do two of those. I think there's 7 in a row, which I think would be, we would all be. So I just do 2. It's like a bit like legs passing in a different position than you normally do the tensegrity one. I'll get back to the tensegrity, but I always like leaving them alone for a bit. So that's why I'm doing some others. So you recovered from your inversions. Come onto your back like that. Try and extend into the crown, shoulders back, so you're not like I'm doing now. So resist a little bit into your elbows. And then see if you can bring your one heel just above the floor, the other leg up. So it's legs passing, slow motion, like scissors in the air, which I think is a little bit easier than this other ones. Try and keep your shoulders back, extending to the crown, tummy in. If you can, straighten your knees. If you need to, bend them slightly. No cheating. Keep going. I'm going to do a variation where, if you have the more or less here, you bring your knee in your chest, your knee towards your chest, put the elbows back, and then your other knee towards your chest, like pistons rather than cycling. The trouble is you feel it probably a lot in your neck and your head as well, not so much in your core. Last one. For a moment, release into a forward bend. Okay, so now one of those passive stretch, it is the groin opener, the reverse butterfly. So come onto your knees with your big toes touching, your knees as wide as you can, so that you get the inner groin stretch. And then come onto your forearm and onto your chest, and see if you can release the elbows, come onto the side of your face, and if you can, cross your ankles or your top of your feet, and drop your shoulders and release your feet. Now some of you might be able to take your feet more or less to the floor. I always say the ones with the frog genes can do that. Most of us can't. So the whole idea is to stretch the inner groin, to drop the sitting bones over time and to rotate those thighs and hips gradually, passively. So simply breathe into your belly, relax into it. Now the top foot to press on the lower foot, shoulders are released, belly soft. Natural, comfortable breath. It's a slow shift for most of us. If you don't feel it at all, then maybe your knees are not wide enough. Without effort and now the gravity to do it, see if you can turn your head perhaps and change your feet so the other one is the top. Breathing into the belly. May begin to feel it. We're going to do it another 8 or 10 breaths. Two more breaths after this one. Now bring the soles of your feet together. Bring your hands well below your shoulders, next to your ribs. Maybe a little bit lower than your shoulders. And see if you can drop your toes to the floor. Press back into your palms so that your chest can come up, so make sure your hands are low enough. And then drop your hip. So you get quite a strong groin stretch. Try not to collapse. Your chest up, navel up. Get up, press back with your palms and release the hip. Toes on the floor. Quite a strong, for me it's quite a strong groin stretch. Slowly come back, and if you can't do the coming back, coming to butterfly, and some of you could need problems where that's not possible, but if you can, take your hands to the inside of your heels and slide inside of there. Some people will not be able to go all the way, maybe you need to firm or just hang in there literally. And for most of us it's quite a bit strange, it's quite a comfortable position. You get kind of a stretch here, but it's not too intense. It's a bit like when we have the feet together, knees together. It's a variation of that. Stay upright, allow your sitting bones to drop. Comfortable breath. So you gradually ease into that posture a little bit more. Whole body awareness, natural breath. You can come forward once more, not too far. Press your palms back, keep the big toe down, and see if you can bring your chest up. Probably can drop your hips a little bit more. Try not to collapse, lift out of the shoulders. Hips forward. toes to the floor. So it accentuates that reverse butterfly that we've been doing. And you look back once more. Always find you can sit into a little bit deeper. Just focus on natural, comfortable breath. Keeping that whole body awareness. Integrating the mind and the body. Always arriving in that present moment as it is. Another 5 breaths. So you get to that more permanent sense of the present moment. Okay, now another hip one. 2. Let's see better. You bring your right foot forward and your left knee further back. Your foot is in line with your knee and your shoulder. And some of you might find that just bringing your foot further back and doing this is enough. Some of you might want to bend your elbows a little bit. And you find that groin stretches stronger and you can bring the right knee in. Some of you can come down, do it like this or like that, or reach your head. Slide the left knee further back. Keep that right knee against you as you release your head. So it's quite a strong stretch on the right side now, shoulders back. I prefer doing it like that, like that. And just stay there a bit longer. Breathe. You feel the shift? Shoulders back, head released. It's actually one of those yin stretches, which you can go on forever, but I won't do it forever. Make it 5 more breaths. So quite a good stretch, but to the other side. Keep your knee and your ankle aligned. Slide the right knee further back. You get that maximum drop of your left hip already. And if that's enough, then allow it to develop, pushing your knee in. If you can come with your elbows close to the floor, it's almost easier when you can come onto your forearm. Keep the knee in, and your palms together, or release your head. Stay with the breath, release your foot if you like. And slowly release into that stretch. Shoulders back, head release. Left knee in. Allow that left hip, groin, and flexors to stretch. Whole body awareness, there is the breath. Front foot centered. Five more breaths. Working to the hip, groin. And then for a moment, release your back totally. Allow the tension to roll out of your hip. Coming back to it. It's sometimes called neutral again. So now you're going to do a bit of a back bend, and there are several possibilities here. And if you have a knee that's quite sensitive, use your towel, your blanket, whatever You're going to come onto the left knee and your right foot forward in such a way that you try and bring the left knee further back so that when you bend it, and actually not to the patella on the bony bit and on the thigh. Now, some people can't reach, so then maybe keep it on the floor. If you can reach or use a strap, you can try it like that and keep your front elbow there. If you feel you could bring the arm up. There's also this version, which I like to do this time, where you bring your navel up, your chest up, your head up, push your foot and your hand into each other, and you drop your hip and the groin, thigh, which you really stretch quite a bit. So you should be ready for this. Breathe, shoulder blades down, chest up. Find the equilibrium, we're pressing into that front foot. Three more breaths. Come into a counter stretch by bringing your right foot up, take your hands forward round your back and bring your head down from that. Of course we need to do the other side. Make sure you're not in the patella, your front ankle and your knee are aligned. Let's see if you can take hold of the foot. If you feel this is enough, stop here. You can, bring your chest up, press into the front foot. Navel up, head up and back. And see if you can find your equilibrium in your hold. Sometimes the foot a bit more to the side will do it. I can definitely feel the one side is much stiffer than the other. I have to do this. Okay, it doesn't work so well for me this time. It'll go better this morning. And then release for a moment into the child pose, release to brain position, release your elbows. Just allow everything to soften. And at the end, a bit different than we normally do. You might not have noticed it, done any dog stretches. So we're going to do the simple sequences. Many know it, and it is a simple sequence. But the whole objective is that you literally move with the breath. So you get into a kind of moment to moment, in, exhale posture, flow. Because we're going to go up and we're going to keep our eyes closed once we've got it. Most of you can do that after 2. If you're new and not used to my classes, you might take 3. Then the objective is that you stay with the breath and you adjust the movement to the breath. And if you can then feel that spaciousness, when your eyes are closed, you are in a much more spacious kind of experience of yourself, the boundaries diffuse. And then the other objective is to get into the moment, because you have to think. So you need to keep your focus. The danger is that you don't know if you're going forwards or backwards. If you do it for quite a while, you're going to do it for quite a while. You don't know if you're on the way up or the way down, literally. So it's important to keep that focus, to literally flow with the breath, with your movement, with the body in your mind, and you really integrate them. And if you can do it properly, it's very calming. So we use it as our relaxation breath. I don't want to make the class so long again. I'm trying to make it a bit shorter this time. So come into an Eastern praying position at the bottom of your mat. Release your back. And feel you're really comfortable. As you breathe in, you come up, your knees a little bit apart. Slightly back. As you breathe out, come back into that Eastern praying position. As you breathe in, curl your toes, come into a neutral or hollow cat. As you breathe out, come into a dog with your head down. As you breathe in, you come into a dog with your head up. Keep your toes curled, tummy in. As you breathe out, back into a dog with your head down. As you breathe in, come back into cat. As you breathe out, towards your heels, elbows to the floor, forehead to the floor. So that's the sequence, most of you know it. Breathing in, slight back bend, tummy in. Breathing out, flow into the Eastern praying position. That's the breath. Breathing in, cat. Cats are always inhalations. Dog with your head down are always exhalations. Move with the whole breath. Dog with your head up. If you keep your toes curled, it will be easier. Press back, tummy in, pull the heels back, rotate thighs out. Slowly come back into the dog with your head down, head to the floor, look towards your thigh. Back into cat on the inhalation. Eastern praying position on the exhalation. I'll talk you through it one more time. Those of you who can close your eyes already do so. Back bend as you breathe in, look at the ceiling. Eastern praying position as you breathe out. Hollow cat, lift out of the shoulders. Dog with your head down, armpits and hips toward each other. Heels down, head to the floor. Breath into your inner hand. Dog with your head up. Extend, pull your heels back. Rotate the upper arms out. Press back with your hands. Back into a dog with your head down. Into a cat. So breathe out into the Eastern praying position. See if you can now do it with your eyes closed. Back bend. Eastern praying position as you breathe out. Cat as you breathe in. Dog with your head down as you breathe out. Breath into your inner hand. Dog with your head up as you breathe in. Dog with your head down as you breathe out. Cat as you breathe in. Flatten your feet to the tip of your forehead. See if you can do it on your own. Use the breath. Eyes closed. Whole body awareness. Your own comfortable breathing tempo. Smooth journey. Try not to jerk. Feel your spine. Just the breath. Keep track of where you are. Keep going. Two more sequences like this after this one. expansive light flowing as the breath. When you come to your last one, I want you to hold the dogs, all three, for 6 breaths, and then make it your last. So hold each one for 6 breaths. Eyes closed. When you finish, for a moment come into child pose. And if you need to, the blankets and socks. Just allow yourself to release from the back, put something underneath your knees if you need to. And stay in that flow of beingness, in that sense of aliveness. To release your back, joints. Drop into gravity. Allow your breath to gradually settle in its natural, comfortable zone. Keeping that empty mind, that presence, to feel the aliveness, that electromagnetic field within and around you, that infinite intelligence that informs you. Release totally. Filling yourself with a sense of wholeness, gratitude, loving kindness. Slowing down. Connecting with that deeper sense of self. Witnessing yourself as you are, not engaging any thoughts. Literally arriving in the moment as it is. Staying grounded in that sense of beingness, of who you are, that full potentiality that's there, but nothing is manifested to it. Embracing all possibilities and letting go. Resting in that abiding sense of self in your heart space. If you allow your mind flow to the music of heart. slowly bring your awareness back to your breathing. Feel the floor pressing against you. Just take a nice deep breath into your heart. Another one. You should open your eyes. Now stretch or roll onto your side. Or bring your knees to your chest and circle them a few times. Once you did that today. Apanasana. And then come into a sitting position. That music was a cry of the loons. And it's funny, I just received an email this morning from a friend who's got a small holding in Somerset West, and showed a picture of the guinea fowl which they feed every night. I've been there often when they do it. It's lots of them. But what I've noticed, looking out from my top window at night after 6, there's a lot of gathering of birds on Table Mountain or somewhere there. And then they make a V formation and more birds and birds gather. And then they seem to fly to the west until I can't see anymore where they go. And it seems like a whole flock of them, getting larger and larger as they move in that direction, find their spot for the night. It's quite interesting what you notice when you spend more time and wish you a little window out into nature. Some of you found it very difficult. I've spoken to a few of you to get into a rhythm. But maybe now that we're in the 3rd month, more or less, lockdown, perhaps you get used to that strange life and you may find that you can regulate your time and benefit from the yoga, because it will improve your immune system, it will improve your mood. So I hope you can. I hope this is a bit of a shorter class. I was just saying to Kim, some people moan about the class being so long, but you don't have to driving here and driving back. So think of it like that. You've got a bit of extra time. Thank you for your support, all the payments already received, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Have a good week. Stay well.